from Seattle.
Nice. Not too far from where I am, and I hope that we get to welcome you guys to San Francisco when we're back in the studio at some point soon. Thank you both so much for making the time. Let's dive right into it. I know that certainly our followers, our social media following, and our audience has been really excited to hear from both of you. Sherman, as I noted on Twitter just a few minutes ago, most times these days we're talking to athletes that have recently changed their profile pictures to laser eyes, and they're talking NFTs and crypto. However, you're going traditional. You're backing a company in the health and wellness space. Tell us why this is important to you, why you decided to get involved.
Well, I think it's important, obviously in our country right now, we're going through this pandemic, and I think it's exposed a lot of the inequities in our healthcare system and just in our mental stability. I think people have had to be introspective, and it's been difficult. People have had to deal with depression and deal with just being lonely and not being able to go out and be able to address these problems. And I think this company does a fantastic job of bringing technology and nature together to address this issue. And I think that's what's necessary. People have always had a stigma behind mental disorders, and people have never wanted to address it, never wanted to speak about it. And I think now is the time to address it. I think everybody's been sitting at home, forced to think about it, forced to really look themselves in the mirror. And I think the reason I back this company is because I think that we will be able to make a difference in that space.
Okay, well, Ranj, why don't you get into the details? Tech-driven wellness. What does that mean? What does your platform look like, and what do you guys hope to achieve?
Yeah, so Nurosene is founded by a functional neurologist named Daniel Gallucci. He's based out of Toronto, as is the rest of the team. And what we've essentially done is we've digitized the clinical experience of anyone going in and seeing a functional neurologist, and almost like democratizing healthcare by bringing a very powerful tool into people's hands that would otherwise be seen kind of in private clinics behind closed doors. So the exercises that you would normally see in clinic, we've brought those into an app, which is live on the App Store right now. And while you're going through the exercises within the app, we are taking a whole bunch of, or using a whole bunch of passive data collection methods to start identifying issues that you might be facing. So over time, we're integrating things like wearable devices, heart rate tracking, resting heart rate variability. We're using facial capture for anxiety detection through detecting eye movements. The facial capture can detect like inflammation of your face. All of these things, we're using AI on the back end to actually detect whether you might be predisposed for certain conditions and then putting you on a pathway for recovery.
Interesting. Now, Sherman, you have been in Seattle and you're now in San Francisco. Two of these, as a technology reporter and anchor, I've covered companies from both of these places for a long time now. What's your interest in investing, VC investing, public companies? Is this your first foray into it?
No. This is my first foray. I'm actually invested in a few companies. This is my first foray into investing into a technology company in the mental health space. It's a new space for me to be involved in. And I think it's me taking a step outside of my comfort zone and really trying to affect change in the world, and not just financial gain, trying to make a difference in young people's lives and show them that it's okay to talk about these issues. It's okay to address them. It's okay to be upfront with them, because I think it'll help more people be upfront with it and be able to articulate it, and instead of saying, hey, I'll just deal with it myself because I don't want to tell anybody about it. I don't want to be ostracized because of what I'm going through and feel like I'm the only person that's dealing with this issue. And I think as a person with a platform, it's important for me to get out there and show everyone that we're all humans and we all deal with these issues. And I think that'll make a difference.
Right. And I wonder, why is it important for athletes to do this as role models too? I was listening to an interview that Bill Simmons conducted with Chris Bosh. I think it was just a few weeks ago. And they said something really interesting. He said that criticism is a tax on success. And Sherman, I wonder if you found that to be the case as well in your career as an athlete in the spotlight.
That's an interesting way to put it. I mean, I've never heard it put that way, but that's 100% accurate. It's the price you pay. I mean, especially in this day and age where everything's visible. You know, everybody has an opinion. There's a social media site that gives everybody access to everyone. Everybody gets to say what they want to say, good, bad, or indifferent, and it's seen. You know, and I think as professional athletes who are in the spotlight all the time, you're almost a target for criticism to enable other people to feel better about things they may be going through. And it is what it is. You know, some people deal with it well, some people don't. You know, and I think at times people forget that we're human beings as well, and we have mental space and we have blood running through our veins just like everyone else. And that's why I'm so excited about this Nurosene opportunity, because I think it'll do a great job of addressing something that has needed to be addressed for a number of years, not only with everybody in society, no matter big, small, young, old. And I think it's been so taboo for so long that it's the perfect time during this pandemic, coming out of this space, to address it.
You know, we recently talked about this on our show about how it's not just athletes, but businesses, CEOs, they're going directly to their fans or their investors or their consumer base. And we talked about it in light of Naomi Osaka's decision, right, to bow out of press conferences and really focus on her mental health. So Ranj, I wonder, you know, you seem to be ahead of this, certainly, by getting Richard Sherman on board. Why was that important to you to have Richard and an athlete, and how does that sort of fulfill your mission and the company's mission?
Yeah, I mean, coming out of pandemic, there's no better time to address this problem. And we're seeing, firstly, we're seeing a wealth of other apps that are out there in the mental wellness space, in the meditation space, in the kind of like in the mobile health space, where it gives you access to therapists. We're coming at things a little bit differently, where we're approaching it from the education perspective. We're educating people on the importance of brain health. So the reason that we got someone like Richard on board was, you know, we wanted someone who had a voice and really wanted to advocate for change and to help that, we have a responsibility to educate people. You know, we all know this thing's important on top of our head, but it controls so many different functions. But to educate people on the importance of stretching it on a daily basis. So that's what you'll find within the app is like, basically habit forming daily activities that you can perform on a daily basis. But we want to make sure that everyone has access to that. And someone like Richard, who is so passionate about bringing light to this in both obviously the issues of mental health when you think about professional sports and concussion, but also basically in different minorities as well. So when I first met Richard, he was so passionate about this and wanted to advocate for change. So it was just a natural fit.
Yeah, and Richard, your passion comes through as you talk about your own experiences. As I mentioned earlier, though, you've been based in Seattle and San Francisco, and I certainly know there's no shortage of companies in this space, apps that have raised a lot of money. And Ranj, we were just talking about how Nurosene is based in Toronto, my hometown, which is great. I love to see tech companies come out of Toronto. But Richard, why this one, especially when you have at your fingertips, and I'm sure many are asking you to sort of be the spokesperson for their own apps or businesses? Why did you decide on Nurosene?
Well, because I didn't feel like the other opportunities were as in depth and as well thought out as this application is going to be, and as it's going to continue to evolve and in the different stages that it's going to help people in and help people through, the availability, the backing. I thought that everything about this application was going to be top of the line and top notch. And that's why I wanted to be a part of it. I wanted to be at the forefront of the best company in this space. And I think Nurosene is going to get there.
You said something interesting a few minutes ago. You said that you have done other investments, but this is the first time where you feel like you're investing not just for your returns, your financial gains, but to sort of on a really important social issue. And we've certainly seen, especially in the sports world, athletes take really important stands on business matters. And it's so interesting that now you're actually, putting your money behind a social issue. Do you think that we will or should see more of this from athletes? I mentioned at the top, we're seeing a lot get into the hottest thing, cryptocurrencies, whether that be Bitcoin, Dogecoin, NFTs, or something else. Do you think that we will see more athletes sort of put their brand behind issues that are really important to them, that can make a difference in society?
I do.
Not that Bitcoin can't, but it just sort of, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know exactly what you're saying. And I think you'll see more of that. I think, obviously for the history of time, there's been a ton of athletes that have been philanthropists and done their best to help their communities and help the world as best they can. You know, I mean, we're human beings too. We only go as far as, we only have so much energy and so much time on this earth. But I do think there are going to be more people that use their endorsement opportunities and their spokesmanship to make a difference in the world, and not just to make their pockets richer. I think people are doing it already. You know, I can't think of examples right now from the tip of my tongue, but I think this is something that I think a lot of athletes have a passion for, making a difference, helping people, being a positive influence on this world. So I definitely think there'll be a lot more people that engage in that.
Yeah, and you know, it is a good point. We are seeing that in a big way. I shouldn't take away from that by saying, you know, laser eyes or whatever, because a lot of the NFT proceeds are going to charitable causes and nonprofits. So it's a really good point. Ranj, let's talk a little bit about the business. I asked Richard why Nurosene, but I want to ask you, how does Nurosene compete in this crowded space when you're going up against very well capitalized competitors? I know you guys are going public today on the Toronto Exchange. How is that going to help you further achieve those goals? And can you tell us anything about its adoption? How many users so far?
Yeah, for sure. So the app is just launched. We're also launching, excuse me, a line of nutraceutical supplements into market as well, which have been developed by our founder, Daniel Glucci. He studied at the Institute of Functional Medicine, and we're using a systems biology approach. And these supplements really kind of like work at a cellular level, really kind of like with nature rather than kind of like trying to beat nature. So we're launching those into market, and they work in complement with the activities that you'll do within the app. In terms of how we're growing the business and why we've IPO'd, and we haven't gone down the traditional route of venture capital, because we really don't want to be stuck within the constructs of venture capital, and we're going to be using the fact that we're going IPO with access to a whole bunch of different investors, retail investors, institutional banks, obviously traditional investors as well. But it basically will be under more scrutiny, but also it keeps us honest as we grow and keep true to the pathway of the responsibility that we have. And we're going to be going down an aggressive M&A pathway, which is what you'll see in terms of our vision. The data that we're collecting puts us on a pathway to start thinking about new solutions for mental health care. So our overall mission is to find solutions that empower people to take control of their mental health. And the access to the capital now allows us to start thinking about that data, that allows us to think about the research that we're going to be doing in pharma, into novel molecules, and and specifically owning IP around those things that we're going to be investing into.
Speaking, you mentioned the retail investor, which has been a huge topic for us on CNBC this year. I don't know if either of you have been following what's been happening with AMC and GameStop and sort of the broader trend around meme stocks, but it feels to me like mental wellness company with Richard Sherman as sort of your spokesperson could really, reach out to retail investors and sort of this trend of seeing consumers become investors. What are your thoughts on this trend broadly? Ranj, let's start with you.
Yeah, I mean, certainly we've got a smarter investor now who's very thoughtful, is doing their homework and really kind of looking at a whole bunch of different sources to get their information. Obviously for us, the retail investor is someone that also kind of lives and breathes this as well. Like I say, everyone sort of coming out of pandemic has started to think more about their physical fitness and nutrition, and now turning their attention to mental wellness. And this is kind of where we come in and support that and demonstrate to people that this thing is so important to incorporate it into your daily routine. And investors, i.e. the retail investors, are people who are going to be using the product as well. So hence the IPO route gives us access to all of those people who would be our customers.
Right. And Richard, any thoughts from you on what we've seen just over the last year or so, this explosion of retail investors, ordinary people who are choosing companies kind of in the way that you described? They think that there's sort of this long-term goal, there's values behind it. What have you made of this trend? How are you thinking of it going forward?
I think it's awesome. Obviously it's kind of disrupted the space for a lot of people. I think it's frustrated people. I think I don't think anybody could have foreseen this. I don't think Robinhood could have foreseen these people using their platform in the way they have. But I think it's just another way that the pandemic has affected our economy, our world, the thought process of people, the growth of our society. I think it's changed the way people think about their impact as a whole. I think sometimes we're ruled by the few, and the many just kind of fall in line like sheep in a herd. And I think people are trying to branch out of that. People are trying to think more independently. People are trying to take more control and more, and just really take hold of their lives. I think people are tired of being in the rat race, and being in the cycle that they've been in. And I think that's what's happened with AMC and GameStop and these cryptos, Dogecoin and Ethereum and and Bitcoin. I think people have tried their best with the resources they've been given. And obviously the government in the US has given people checks and money and, a little bit more passive income than they probably have been able to have. And I've enjoyed it, man. I've appreciated, because some people have been able to acquire more wealth than they've ever been able to acquire in their life. And that's difficult to do. And I think that's purposely.
Richard, I think we got to have you back on as a stock guest. Well spoken, and these trends well understood. That was so interesting to hear. I know this is the longest we've gone. I'm not supposed to put these for longer than 15 minutes. So my last question, though, Richard, because I think I would be remiss if I didn't ask you this. I touched on Naomi Osaka, but just at the intersection of mental health and athletes and speaking directly to the user, do you think what she did, do you respect that? Do you think that more athletes should do this? And will you choose your sponsorships and endorsements based on the values of a company and CEO?
Oh, I already choose them based off the values of the company and the CEO, and if they align with my values. And I definitely respect what she did. I admire what she did, because it takes a lot of courage to do that. Not just courage in terms of, hey, she got fined, and but it's courage to be transparent and to be vulnerable and to really expose a part of her that I'm sure that she's sensitive, a sensitive subject for her to speak about, and something she's uncomfortable talking about. And I think she's still a young woman. This isn't a 32, 33-year-old human being that's gone through life and fully captured and understands where they are. This is a person that's still growing, that's still developing. And she's in a world with professionals that are much older, much more mentally developed than she is. And I think it's important for us to really step back and view it as, this is a human being. This is a young girl. This isn't just, hey, a superstar tennis player. This is a young person that lives and breathes and goes through issues like the rest of us. And I think that was really cool that she used her platform to expose that truth.
Well, it's great to see other athletes sort of rally around her, and also just great to have you both on to explain this issue that's important to so many people I know, particularly in my community, my family. It's been a really important one. So thank you for doing that. Richard, you may get mad at me for this, but right downstairs is my husband. He's a huge fan. He's a huge Seattle Seahawks fan. Nice. So I think you're going to say anything here.
Right.
You told me if I didn't give you the opportunity.
Tell him we're all in conversations, and it'll all be revealed within the next couple of weeks.
Okay, it's better than I thought. Thank you again both so much for coming on. Looking forward to seeing what you guys do. Please keep me posted, and thanks again.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.